Is that to speak? And y'all should be live as well, right? Yep. It has to be from. Thank you, sir. You got it. If I thought about it, we've got no.
If there is anyone here from the public to provide testimony, evidence about a specific COA on tonight's agenda, please use the sign-up sheet in the back of the room, and you will be given an opportunity to speak during the meeting at the appropriate time. Only those signing up prior to the start of the meeting will be granted permission to provide testimony before the commission. We will start the August 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Historic Resource Commission. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. The purpose of the Historic Resource Commission is to safeguard important elements of Graham's culture, history, and our architectural history to preserve those districts and landmarks for the education, pleasure, and enrichment of residents and visitors. May I have the approval of the July 6th, 2021 Historic Commission minutes, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the minutes from the July 6, 2021 HRC meeting be accepted and approved.
Thank you. I have a motion.
I second that motion.
Okay, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It's approved. Thank you very much. We will proceed to reviewing the certificate of appropriateness applications on the agenda tonight. The HRC is responsible for evaluating whether a COA request meets the criteria in the HRC design guidelines. It is important to note HRC decisions on COA are considered quasi-judicial and as such must follow specific procedural rules. In order to protect individuals' due process rights, the commission agrees to be impartial decision makers, provide proper public notice, and consider only competent and material evidence based on facts, not conjure or hearsay testimony. Under 160D-109B and 106D-109D, a member of any board shall not participate in a vote on any matter in a manner that would violate affected person's constitutional rights to an impartial decision maker. Impermissible violations of due process include, but are not limited to, a member having a fixed open opinion prior to hearing the matter that is not susceptible to change, undisclosed ex parte communication, a close familiar, a business or other associational relationship with an affected person, or a financial interest in the outcome of the matter. Do any commission members have any conflicts of interest to disclose?
No.
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 Has anyone on the commission
Yes.
had any, excuse me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And can you tell us what it is?
Okay, so I'm currently employed by the person that is bringing the
Okay,
disclosure to the
so
board.
you will not be allowed to, well, excuse me, I had gone beyond what I was supposed to do. Do any of the commission feel this matter should abstain, this member should abstain or need to recuse themselves from this case? So she is saying that she is employed by the company that's up for the COA. So does the commission members feel it's okay for her to vote on it, or does she need to be excused from this discussion and vote?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there a precedent for this? Has this happened before? And what has the city done about that? What's the outcome for
Yes.
something similar?
So Nathan?
Ms. Chen, that is a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have any precedent because 160D has been adopted since the last time.
Right.
So the standard was changed and it was made more strict for elected officials, for board members, and for staff as a result of the 160D. If it's helpful, it says a member of any board shall not participate in a vote.
Does anyone?
Given that it says the member shall not participate in the vote, I think that means she has to be disqualified.
So if you would not vote on this particular one?
Will we still have a quorum?
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Chairworthy, I think the order of that should be that there's a motion made
Okay,
for
I'm
her,
sorry.
for her to be recused. And then Ms. Baldwin can come sit with,
Right.
and then immediately after that item, she is brought back up. There's no motion to bring her back in. She's automatically on the board.
Okay, great. Thank you for your direction. This is new territory in a sense. All right, is there a motion, please?
I make a motion that this particular commission member not participate in the voting in accordance with the new guidelines in 160D.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so if you would leave the area and we appreciate it, we'll call you back. Thank you. Tonight's meeting will follow Robert's Rules of Order. If you're here to provide evidence for a COA on tonight's agenda, the chair will recognize you at the appropriate time before yielding the floor. All speakers should come to the podium and first state their name and address for the record. Speakers should directly address the commission. I ask that all speakers signed up to provide testimony on COA 2103 Nick's building renovation come to the front to be sworn in. This is done to ensure that only facts or evidence pertaining to this item are presented to the commission. Opinion or hearsay testimony may not be entered as evidence and will not be permitted by me at the chair so as not to violate the applicant's due process rights. So will the staff please establish historic significance?
The W.J. Nick store at 102 South Main Street is circa 1851 and is a pivotal structure. It is a two-story brick building laid up in common bond, built for Hannah and McLean Trading Company circa 1851. The oversized bricks were reportedly made by laborers who were enslaved. The building features two panel doors with simple molded frames and a porch which carries across the entire front west elevation, supported by cast iron columns with decorative capitals. Originally a three-story building, the top floor was destroyed by Hurricane Hazel in 1953. The sash is 6/6. When Hannah and McLean went out of business in 1875, the building was sold to James D. Basin for retail businesses. Then in 1892, the property was again sold to W.J. Nick's. Nick's expanded the building and lived on the second floor. Part of the retail space was utilized by Sing Lee for Graham's Only Chinese Laundry. The third floor was rented out for various meetings, etc. Nick's died in 1952, but the business continued to be operated by his family until 1964.
Thank you. Do you have a staff report, please?
Yes, sir. The applicant is requesting approval of a certificate of appropriateness for the following areas located at 102 South Main Street. Install an 8-foot covered wrought iron balcony along new building on Main Street side along south wall connecting to existing balcony located at elevator for handicap access. Build new building where barber shop was demolished. I'm sorry, there's a typo there. I put barber show, but it's shop. Install, and that should be wrought. Install wrought iron fencing around outside patio area. Install grain bin, which will be modified for seating and outside waitstaff service. Install fold-up windows, lighting, and roll-up doors to accommodate equipment which will be installed. Install new wrought iron stairs to be used as secondary emergency access. Install balcony on third floor of Nick's building for residential use. Install balcony and covering on north side of W.J. Nick's building. Install balcony and canopy on the west side of the W.J. Nick's building. Install wrought iron railing for stairs on the west side of the Nick's building. For context, this was previously approved during 2017 and 2020, but it has lapsed. The approval has lapsed, and so it is before you all again.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public signed up to provide testimony or evidence? Each person will be called to the podium one at a time. Chuck Talley, if you'll come to the podium, please.
Chuck Talley, 808 Sideview Street. I appreciate y'all listening to us coming back for you tonight. Like Nathan said, it was previously approved. The problem we're having is it took us months to get to the point that DOT was open to allowing us to. I think they wanted to send everything to Raleigh because the impact that it was going to have and everything. So it took us like 18 months to get DOT just to approve the encroachments and stuff onto the sidewalk, or they were okay for the city to approve it. So I would have never been able to meet that 6-month window anyway. And then after that, the engineer started drawing the blueprints, which I have a full set here tonight. And it took him another year or so. It was 2019 or so. And then the pandemic, late 2019, and then the pandemic kicked in. At that point, you know, it kind of spun everything out of control. And so we kind of put it on the back burner due to the fact that the lack of people working and materials. And even today, currently, what we're working on today, it's taken us over 5 months to get the door that we haven't got in yet on the 21 building. So we're still, I think they said today we might see it next week. So it's just hard to get materials and it's hard to get engineers with their load that they have on them. And then there's so much stuff going on right now. And then the pandemic hasn't helped us either at all. So it's kind of drug things out. Would love to have already been started on it, but due to the fact that everybody's workload's been so heavy, it just seems like it's, you know, I'm at the mercy of other people's performance, unfortunately. So.
Okay, does any commissioners, do you all have any questions? Jeanette, do you have any?
Well, you've already answered one of my questions, which was, I thought we had already approved this, but so it didn't get started in time, did it? Okay. This, I did have a question about this. I don't. This, I had a question about this says,
West side.
no, it says
Keep
new
scrolling.
construction, existing construction.
One more.
This is where the,
I think you got to keep going the other way. Go the other way. Right there. That's it right there. That's
this
the picture.
is
Okay.
where the barber shop used to be,
Yes, that's where the barber shop used to be.
right here. The side I'm looking
The-
at used to be.
The left side of it is. So, yeah, but what we're showing is the back of the other building, the Gates building. What we're doing is we're tying the balcony, which I'd come and had that approved in the third meeting that I came to.
Right,
So what we were doing is now we have a scale to drawing that shows we're tying that balcony all the way into the existing elevator that's around the corner of the Gates building, the Burt building. And the reason why it creates, okay, so we have a platform lift in there, so we meet ADA requirements to get people in wheelchairs to the second floor.
right.
We felt it was a lot more safer, which we're not showing the elevators to the right of your screen there, where the balcony sticks out. That ties into where the elevator is. So what we thought that if it was an emergency, that we have a second egress that's like for elevator to get people off the building. So we decided to go in and tie the whole balcony all the way around to what's existing now, so to create life safety passages also. If not, we have a safe zone that they would set in a wheelchair until the fire department would come up there and get them down. It's a non-combustible area. It was designed, it's still that way today. But talking with the engineer, and they felt like it would be better if we tied it all together. And I think it'll be great anyway by doing that. And that also overlooks the courtyard area.
Just for my own, so you've got the Brantley building,
Mhm,
where Wits is.
mhm.
Got the Gates building where the financial used to be.
So Burt building has Edward Jones in it.
Okay, that's
So
the
it
Burt
goes
building. The
21.
Gates building is,
It used to be where that's the building that faces north. Okay.
okay,
It's
where y'all's
like things
office is.
above is in the same corner. Yes, where we're at.
Okay, and then the next building.
Then the next.
Okay, I was getting confused reading this over the
Right,
names.
it's kind of confusing. It was confusing me, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Do you have any?
I have a question as to DOT. What was have they provided you any extra information in this whole application and then stoppage?
I think that,
It-
that their standard, this is not the first time that, I guess, Paul Crotts had got an encroachment right before we got this. And so I went back to talk to them like over a year later, and they were like, we're okay with whatever goes on down there. As long as the city's okay with it, because they have to maintain the sidewalks. And see, even with DOT, and I don't know if you have that picture in here, we even did a scale drawing of the sidewalk to show that we're meeting all the pedestrian passages, because the balcony is only taking up a place where there's a pole. So that's all it's taken up. The balcony is on the new building. So if you look like down the center of the building where there's squares in the middle, that's the new section. So the balcony is just on the new section. On the old section, we're putting the canopy back on the old section that when we bought the building, Jay Burke gave me the old light poles that used to hold the canopy up. So we have all the old light poles, which are light poles from downtown Graham. And then on the right side of your picture, which is on the north side of the building, there was a balcony there that was taken down in 1910. So what we're trying to do is make the next building look as historical as it can. The new addition is not supposed to, it's supposed to enhance. We don't want to take away from the next building. We're using the original windows, original everything, the original floors in it. We want it to be back as pristine as we can to keep it close to history as it can. And we're not wanting to change anything about it. It's the new additions where we're actually having the balconies. Do you have a question?
It may be helpful if I give them this.
Okay.
And you say that this part is where.
Correct. It would help.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. So,
Yes, oh, gotcha.
Thank you.
okay. So I guess I'm looking at the drawings so that you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Let's start at the bottom. So I'm looking at the Main Street side with the new building,
Okay.
and it has the door there. The door looks like it's a metal door. Is that a metal door, or what kind of door is it? It looks like one of those metal with a push thing.
Y'all approved wood last time. We're gonna put wood back in.
Okay, I'm just
I would
asking
like-
because it's all,
The only thing that I might have to come back to y'all down the road on is when Carson designs the stained glass, because we're wanting to put glass in the new storefront, stained glass, and he hasn't done anything yet. And I'm not gonna bring in what he did for the other building. So in the new building, I would like it to look sort of like the Brantley building where it's got all the woodwork and stuff. We want the new building to have wood, and I think y'all had approved wood windows, wood storefronts.
right,
There's not gonna be any metal of any type in it. It'll be all now the back doors, of course, will be steel, but the front doors you won't see, but the front doors will lie. Everything on the street that you'll be able to see will be wood, except y'all had approved those 8x8 doors on the second floor, and I think it's a 9x12 or 8x12 on the first floor for the brewing equipment to go in and out. That y'all have pictures of that.
Yeah.
Also, that's a Wayne Dalton door. So,
right, but glass panels,
right, full view glass.
right. So, so the doors kind of match, because the door up above kind of match this door below.
Mhm.
Okay, and then, I guess what you did on so this would be the alley side, so the side away from Main Street. The back windows are smaller because they're two
Okay, can you give
two sashes instead of, I mean, however you call it.
Is it this page or?
No, it's the alley, which is,
It's
Up-
the
upstairs?
the
You're
right
talking about
side,
the
right
upstairs?
side of the building.
it's the long,
It's the same picture that Jeanette was asking.
yeah, it's that picture right there. So the back ones are smaller windows because they're two sash
Oh,
instead of
The
six
windows
sash,
beside
the
the
back windows here,
Okay.
where the steps are.
Oh, well, that's pre-existing windows there.
Okay, so
Back-
that's the new building.
That's the.
Can't hardly tell what is the new building. and I mean, that's the old building.
It's hard to tell. There's a black line. Ken.
Gotcha.
You'll see where the balcony is on the third floor. You'll see a black line right underneath it. That's the new building.
Okay, gotcha.
See it?
Okay, that threw me. So I was like, so that's the old building. That's the new building right here. See,
There you
Okay.
go. That's it.
that answers my
Straight down.
question. That threw me for a little bit.
That's it.
Okay. I think that's the only question I had. Is the fence 6 foot or what, how big's the fence?
Well, in the back, I think we were looking at putting the fence at 6 foot. In the front, I figured, the alley there, because we were doing that in case there was like Because that's sort of like it could be a wedding venue, an event venue, the big garden area. So we were thinking about maybe 4-foot fence, and if you want 3-foot, it's fine on the street there. But in the back, we figured we would go 6-foot tall. So,
And it's so funny, well, I'm not supposed to interpret, but it's a little hard for me not, that, you know, we have these silos that you have in Kansas at my home. We have those like that. We use them for that. But so that's in the back corner.
yes, that is.
So you don't really see it from the street much. I guess
No,
maybe,
you wouldn't see it from the street. We're kind of showing it to the left in the
Yeah.
drawing that I did last time, but it wouldn't look like it, of course. It would be
Right.
layers of it. It'd be shorter than that.
okay.
So,
Like the one with the,
the what?
The view here is from Grand Tractor.
Yeah, you would be standing at Graham Tractor Company looking at that.
but this silo is gonna be the one that has the seating
Right,
and the grill.
right.
and
We
everything.
just drew something and then Jennifer was able to find the pictures and everything. Yeah.
Okay,
See,
that's,
there's actually a gate that is hard to tell, but there's a gate in the middle of it that shows to be 6 foot tall or whatever. But what we were doing is we're putting a 50-amp service out there. So those two gates could open outward and they could pull a food truck up to that. If it was a wedding and they were wanting to pull off the food truck and not pull off the kitchen, they could pull their food truck up and open the gates up to the door of the food truck.
Huh.
Yeah, right there.
how wide is that
The 12 foot,
patio?
the gate.
Patio?
The patio? Oh, well, like beside the building,
Yeah.
like that's over 12, that's 12 foot wide
Okay,
to the left, the most narrow area. In the back there, you're probably looking at some around 25 foot wide or wider, maybe 30 feet. Let me see, 13,
The side is-
26 foot wide.
Mr.
okay. Does the balcony go the whole length? So how wide is the balcony?
The balcony there is 8 feet.
Okay,
So you actually, if it started raining, you'll have shelter under the balcony beside the new addition, and you have shelter underneath the back of the building all the way around, you know, up to the point, the wrought iron fence. So you actually have shelter there also.
okay. That's all the questions I have.
One other thing, Carrie, since you brought this up, I want to bring it to your attention. You see the door on the addition there? You see where the door is on the
Uh-huh.
addition? Well, what's changed with that is the engineers moved that door around to the side. So if you could go back to the side drawing, he did that because electrical service is so big it wouldn't fit there. Oh, right there, right there. Well, he ain't showing it there, but we moved it on these blueprints because there wasn't enough room for the electrical service.
So it's not on the side of the shop.
Yes, it had to be on the south side because electrical service is a 400 amp 3-phase, and then we got two 200 amp going there. Yeah, so that's the only thing that's really changed, and I didn't send this back to the draftsman, but the engineer, on the floor plans, he did make the change. Yes, so right here. Can I approach? Huh? Yeah, that's where it's at. So just looking at the floor plans, can I approach?
Alongside.
Yeah, you just stand right here. I guess, I don't know where the cameras are, but go ahead and,
He's saying for the cameras, but I think that this serves your point, right?
Right, this is showing it.
yeah, okay, that's
This
fine.
is an aerial view that shows the exact same thing that he's got here. If you approve this, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so right here. it goes
Okay,
Here to here.
great. Okay,
Because the electrical service is so big.
okay, thank you.
And is that one a steel door or a wood door?
It's steel for the safety issues, we put steel at the kitchen. It's 2-hour fire rated, everything in the kitchen.
That won't be visible from the street because it'll be behind the barber shop.
Correct.
Right, because it's in the alleyway.
Right.
I'm calling the alleyway is the side.
Yeah, that's right. So it's 12 foot wide, the alleyway of cover. So it's a large area. You can actually still drive a car through there if you want to. So that's why we were putting a 12-foot gate on the street there in case there need to be, you know, a vehicle to unload chairs or whatever. And then from the backside, you could actually open the two gates and drive through there if you wanted to.
Okay, so that's a gate. I
Right.
called it a fence. It's a gate. Okay, gotcha. All right. Sorry, Jerome.
Yes, I'm new to this, so I've got a couple of questions I need clarity on that I'm not really unsure, I'm kind of unsure about. But we keep referring to, and You guys are down there and I'm all the way here by myself. I'm taking this off for a minute. I keep hearing these references to a previous, oh, rather, let me back up. It's under my understanding, this is a judicial type experience that we're going through at this point, which means that the materials that I have presented to me basically is a contract between us, the city, and you. So I can only make decisions based on what's presented to me.
Right.
At this time. Is that correct?
Well, in answering questions, if he answers your questions, you can do it with what he tells you.
Okay. But we keep referring back to these things saying that this was approved earlier, and I have no idea
Right.
what was approved earlier and what we're co-signing off and not co-signing off on and referring to. So I'm challenged. I'm bothered by that.
Okay, well, you're true. I know the information. You just need to ask the questions. But once he told me, then I know. That's why I asked certain things. So just ask questions. Yes.
And the previous one is null and void. This one would,
Right.
it wouldn't replace the other one because the other one, for all intents and purposes, doesn't exist.
Right,
It
so
would be
this is-
just this contract going
So-
forward.
Right, this
because-
is new. It's just that I have heard it before, so I'm asking questions. You ask your questions and he'll tell you
Okay.
and make your decision from what you have in front of you and what he tells you.
Okay. Mr. Tao, you have done an incredible amount of work on this project.
Thank you.
And I've been seeing that coming in and out of town for over 20, almost 20, 25 years, 29, a number of years.
Right.
And there's been that hole there.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to see it getting filled in. You've got a wonderful set of blueprints and plans there. And I'm frustrated that you did not present that to me so that I can have a complete, so I could have a full description of what was going on in front of me. There's a statement in here that no landscaping plan required is where they were going to be on the footprint of the lot. I need a plan in front of me to actually show me that. I mean, it's nice. I'm not sure whose words these are, but I need a plan to show me that so I can actually know to make that decision. I'm confused. I'm taking this as my document that I have to work from and that I have to make decisions upon. I'm bothered that we're talking about, I'm not sure which one to assume in some ways. The polls for this, the polls for the canopy balcony thingy. I've got one drawing showing that they're out at the edge of it, but I've also got a picture, and it's showing that it's a continuation of what's already there. But when I look at what's already there, the poles stick in a good 6 feet, I guess, and then it's a huge overhang. So I don't know for sure whether we're talking about approving something that overhangs further into the right of way than what's there. And also because I don't have a plan, I can't make a fair decision on that. There's other thing, I'm looking at I'm just sort of starting of where to look. I have I'm saying, starting with the balcony, I guess. The balcony is setting up. The question I'm wondering is what's the precedent for that balcony being the steel rails that you're proposing? Because what I see in the picture here are turn posts, turn spindles. And in traveling around North Carolina, I have not seen an experience such as what we're proposing to put up there. I have seen, except for if I go down to New Orleans or something like that. So I'm wondering what precedent do we have for that?
Okay. I thought that I said full set of blueprints over to the city, and I don't know, I emailed it, so I don't know how much y'all did or didn't get. I thought I'd sent everything over, but maybe I didn't. I didn't send everything over.
They have everything.
Okay. So the thing is about the balcony, it has to be 2 hour non-combustible. You're not going to use wood today or anything like that. They're going to make you build it out of steel and mortar and concrete. In order to do that, that's why we've done that. We're pouring concrete on the second tier. We're building it out of steel so it can meet all the requirements of a life safety egress. That balcony is being used as a life safety egress from the building itself, okay? So that's why one of the reasons we went with the balcony. Also, it also gives us a life safety issue to get things off. There was balconies previously, like in the downtown. So on the north side of the Knicks building, there was a balcony, okay, which was taken down in 1910. There was a balcony on the Vestal Hotel, which was the full length of the building, which is, I think, around 100 foot long. So there has been balconies in the downtown before. And also the building to the right of the Paris building, there was a balcony on it because we've got pictures of the guys standing out there. And that was actually built out of wood back then. So I can understand when you're talking wood, but today they won't let me do it out of wood when the engineers get involved.
They don't let you do it. I understand they would not let you do it out of wood, but there's also the possibility of doing it out of material that's non-combustible and strong that would replicate this experience of those turned balusters.
Well, I had left that up to the engineer to do the designing.
And but we are approving not what the engineer is doing, but we're approving what design looks appropriate and continuous to the experience. My concern is that when we're looking at the picture I'm looking at this picture from, I'm not sure when, they've got horse-drawn carriages out in front. This very early time period that this experience is only, I should say, maybe 2.5 feet tall. And we're gonna, I think code is something like 3 feet or so.
Okay, you're talking about the handrail?
For the handrail.
Handrail now is code's 42 inches.
42 inches. My concern is that we're going to be putting something up there, a big black fence that's going to look like the Wall of China, going around that and be very inconsistent with what's there, what was previously there. That is one of my concerns. My other concern is that is for that. When it comes for the poles there, I raised the question of, has this gone before the commit? I'm not sure, is it TRC or something like that?
We don't get into that. This is just about the design.
What we approve, is there a committee that's going to come back behind us and has the authority to change what this is so that there's possible extra egresses and things like that coming from that second story?
Yeah.
Can I ask that question?
So the HRC has the final say on the exterior of the building. If the TRC were to say you're required to have an additional exit here or there or whatever, it would have to come back before the HRC. If it was an internal change only, the HRC wouldn't see it again. It would be only TRC.
So if TRC, if they say that there's, I'm looking at all this second floor
Right.
balcony, and I see one staircase. I'm going, that's a lot of building for one staircase with potential of a lot of people. I'm looking at this image here. And I'm concerned that there's going to be another staircase coming down from that, and I'm not sure where it's going to be or what it's going to look like. And I'm concerned to have to approve that and then run into trouble later. I'm not sure how to deal with that situation.
So Chuck, have you had them look at that and know that that one staircase is enough for your balcony?
Engineer stamped the blueprints. He's licensed through the state of North Carolina. So the second set of stairs are on the inside of the building to go up. That's your egress. So it's not like a nightclub that's assembly. It's a restaurant. So it's not going to be like a club where there's going to be like, in a club, assembly, you got like, you can have one person for every 4 square feet. In a restaurant, there's like one for every 18 square feet. And that's what this is approved as, a restaurant, microbrewery, not as like a club. So it's a restaurant also. So, but as far as the egresses, I can understand your concerns and stuff, but that's why I hire engineers, and engineers have designed the building. And we have met with I think I got the first response from TRC already, I think, was like yesterday. So we got and the biggest response we had was on I think on the storm drainings that we're putting beneath the ground to catch all the gutter leaders and not drop the water into the courtyard area. And, all the gutters flooding people out. So we're trying to get everything below ground, but I can understand your concerns and stuff, but the thing is that's, I hired engineers and basically, this is what they have met and addressed that meet code.
I understand you hired engineers and engineers are good, but engineers also then run into city boards that say, we want something a little different. And that's my concern. The other thing I have concern about, you spoke of gutters. Where's all that water going?
And right now we're dealing with DOT because we're trying to put it in a storm drain pipe tied into the new storm drain that's running to the courthouse.
When it
So we're working
comes
on that
off
right
the
now.
front of the building.
But that's a mechanical thing that we're discussing now.
No, it was actually talking about design as element.
Jerome, you can't talk about that, can you?
So he can,
Okay,
but the impervious surface that is going back is exactly the same as what was previously there.
I'm not talking about the impervious surface. I'm talking about the gutters. We're talking about the gutter and the down pipes, downspouts, that's what they're called. Where I'm not sure what they're going to look like in the front of this building if we're going to have these big ugly things.
On the next building, they're going to be copper and they're round to meet the era of the building. So they'll eventually look like a bronze look and they'll be like round looking like the age of the building. But on the new building, they'll be black in color to match all the wrought ironwork.
My challenge is, it's not here in my contract with you. That's my challenge that I'm running into. Not to be annoying, but I want to make sure that when you present something, when it's actually built, we can't say, but we approved this, or we have this understanding or this implication. This is my contract, and that's my concern. The other question, and since we're at the front of the building, a question I have is, what are you doing for the railing coming off the staircase, coming in the front? What are you doing? There's a door that doesn't have a stair on the side. How are you dealing with that?
So which door are you talking about?
I would believe that would be the door when you've got two doors, one on the west side and one on the north side. North facing on the corner where there are two doors kind of
he's talking about on the,
Next building?
on the next building.
on the real next building, that one.
But we're not gonna, so the thing is, the challenge that we had by being registered in the National Historical Registry, we've already met with one of the state people. And they allowed the steps to stay just like they are because it would hurt the historical integrity of the building if we start changing the steps.
What are you doing for the steps on the other side?
Hmm?
The
The
door
steps
that,
are round?
No, there's one right on the corner of the building is what he's talking about. Before you turn the corner.
The concrete ones?
they're the concrete ones.
There's no steps on
There
the
are no steps on
design.
the-
It's
on the-
just
on
the
the door
door
on the corner.
on the corner.
We're not gonna put anything back there. So
But-
we're just leaving the door. Because I don't know, those steps have been gone for a long time. And so we found the original door and we put the original door back in, but it's not gonna be functioning. It's just to go back in there.
So it's gonna be a non-functional door. That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
I don't have a set of a good visual for that side of the building, so I wasn't sure. The other concern I have is that I'm taking this as my contract with you. This image is showing me 4/4 windows, which means that this shows 4/4.
Okay,
So if
let me, which picture are you looking at?
your blueprints, your elevations show 4/4. That one and pretty much all of them. All your elevations.
Oh, you're showing the next building 4/4.
Yep.
Okay,
And I believe the windows there are 6/6.
that's what the architect drew, but they're the original windows, most of them are, so we're just leaving the original windows there.
Okay, I have to ask because
Okay.
this is what you're proposing. It was in front of
We're
me.
not moving the original windows. If anything, we'll refurbish them if we have problems down the road, but they're gonna stay wood.
I'm just working with what's in front of me.
Okay, no problem.
Can I, so on the new building, and there's 6/6?
No, the new building, the windows are smaller, and since we're trying to
Okay.
fold up window, there's that y'all previously approved. I mean, it's just putting a grill in it, but we just approved it as a regular whole sheet windows is what we did. So it's just like the back of the Gates building there, it's the same thing.
Okay,
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Ask a question. I wanted to go.
The other
through it.
what we're showing on the new building, because I got the blueprints here, is we're showing a 4/4.
Right, okay, that's what I was thinking, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to
we're
clarify,
trying to match, we were trying to.
since he brought it up, I wanted to clarify.
Another question I have, still at the face of the front face of the building, and it's actually on the north side and on the west side. How are you proposing to deal with the basement entrance?
Basement entrance. Okay. So the basement right now, the tenant that I did have was using the basement for storage for his product. It's not an entrance for the public to go into. He was putting his coolers in the basement, which I can show you if you want to see a picture of his coolers. Currently, right now, that tenant, because of the drawn out process, they're no longer with me. Right now, what we're trying to do is build the hull, and then as far as like the steps and everything that you see on the outside, we plan on keeping everything just like it is, but the steps do not meet code on the building. None of them do. But on the same line, we don't want to hurt the historical integrity of the building and want to keep it much as we can like it is. So currently, right now, if the new tenant comes along and he just wants to use it for storage, he'll actually enter the basement from the interior of the building where all the steps meet code. That will be used as a fire egress. That's what they said would be okay for a fire egress if somebody needed to get out of the building, but it's not really open to the public.
The question I have is, leave it, I understand you need to leave it there for historical reasons and that kind of good stuff. There's a hole that sticks out into the pavement,
Yes,
both in the front and on the side.
right.
And I'm wondering what provisions are you leaving for protection of that space so people don't fall in? And what is that going to look like?
We're putting railing, wrought iron railing. We show it like in the picture that he has right there. It shows the railing around the west side of the building, on the front of the building. We're putting railing around it. You were at the right picture a while ago. Yep. Yes, there's the railing.
No, over here.
So these.
Yeah, right there.
jagged-
there.
Okay.
Right
those
there.
lines.
And you're gonna have the same one on the side?
Yes. And so the one on the side's round to match the steps. Okay, we're following the steps with it.
Is there gonna be a gate?
Yeah, it'll have to be a gate.
Okay, I'm
The
just
gate will actually
just
stay.
clarifying.
The gate, there'll be handrails there. There won't be a gate because it's an egress.
Okay, gotcha.
You have to put handrails up of some sort to get people down there. There won't be no gate on them.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, going underneath the building from this side here, there will be.
How far into the walkway will these things extend?
If you'll go back and look at the page where we got everything to scale. I don't know which, if you need to go up or down. Do you remember? It might be the other way. Okay, so right there is the existing steps. If you'll go to that, right there, yes. Yes. So right now, what does it say? Yeah, it's the scale.
Those go into the original door, right?
Those go up. Yeah, those go up.
So, but isn't that one right there? Down here, isn't
And then
it?
the one to the left of that is the one he's talking about going underneath.
Right there. That's the one he's talking about, the railing.
Yes,
So it looks like it doesn't go out into the sidewalk. Is that correct?
what's that?
Both of those go into the sidewalk. The one that's on plan north goes 4 feet into the sidewalk. The one that's on
Mhm.
plan east goes 2 feet into the sidewalk.
Right,
Okay,
According to the plans.
okay.
right. That's the scale. We measured it off the existing building. It should be right.
Are you saying 3 feet from the building or 3 feet in after the building?
They're already there. Yeah, so right now, the city years ago had Jay build a metal roof over it, and also is to keep the water from getting underneath the building. That was one of the reasons why we was trying to get the balconies also and the canopy back on the building, because when it rains, all the water goes underneath the building. By putting the canopy back on the next building and the balcony on the north side, it keeps water from getting underneath the building also.
What?
As Chuck said, both of the one on the west face is approximately,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's your wood canopy thing that was built over it.
and then the one on the north face is
Right.
smaller opening.
Right, so there's a door underneath the building there, so the steps wind on around underneath the building. So
But-
those steps have been bricked back with original bricks that we've gotten off the barber shop. So that's all been repaired. All that's been bricked back. There's no mortar there. That's all been bricked back with bricks that come off the barber shop when it was tore down. It all is concurrent with what's on the side of the building. That was.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, that it's 4 feet out into the,
Right.
now, I wasn't picturing what you were talking about, but I see it now, what you're
It
talking
does,
about.
the thing
That's
is,
what I thought, but,
it doesn't like reduce the,
right.
you gotta have 5 feet of traffic passage for people to walk, and you still got probably 10 foot of sidewalk of passage for people to walk. So
Right.
it still, it meets all the requirements for the travel path and even the ADA stuff, it meets it still. We just wanted to keep it all original as close as we could, and so that was one of the things that the engineer struggled with. He talked to the state, he talked to them, and then they said that they would count that as an egress. So we've got to have handrails on one side of it, on the, looking at the door on the left, we can't put handrails because it goes straight down, but on the right side, we've got to have handrails so people can at least grab something as they come down the steps. And then where Jay did have a wood box built there, that last step that's going against the box is a step you would step off onto the sidewalk. So all that's been redone.
Okay.
Still going back to the front elevation. You've chosen 4/4 for the new construction. It's almost, is built as though it's an extension of, I guess, the Gant building, is it? The building behind it? I'm not sure, I don't know the names of these buildings, I'm new to.
Yeah, the only reason we call that the Gates building is there used to be 3 buildings. The building behind it, there used to be 3 buildings, and Jay Burke tore the whole front off and re-bricked it and made it one building.
So my question about that, thank you. My question is, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names.
Gates,
The
the
Gates.
Gates building.
Write it down and remember, Jerome.
Okay.
The Gates building on the backside, which are almost, seems like a continuation of that building. The headers, I think that's what you would call it, the lintel,
Oh, the archway?
the archways.
Yes, that was bricked into that, correct.
No, I'm talking about the building that's,
The Gates building.
the Gates
That's the
building.
archway, and it's got 3 steps to go into the back of the building there. That's
The
good.
windows are arched. I'm wondering why you did not continue that on the the new construction.
The new construction?
They don't,
Make that a continuation.
Because the reason why.
there's
we
no
did it,
windows though.
Everything was square. with the
They're
Gates
showing windows on the front elevation. It shows windows.
Because the Knicks building is square, we were trying to match the Knicks building, not the Gates building. Because you look at the Knicks building, all the headers are square. And so we were trying to match the Knicks building, not the Gates building. Because back then, if they built, and we can do that, we can brick an archway like that, but it's not consistent with the Knicks building, and that's why we didn't do
The
it.
building that was there, looking at the previous building that was there, it had arched headers.
Yeah, it's also that previous building there was also 3 stories.
I mean, it was 3 stories, but I'm looking at precedent. Okay, that's my precedent.
Yeah.
What was there? And what was that precedent for what was there was arch headers. And that's why I was asking about that question. It wasn't a continuation of the Knicks building, it was a separate building whatsoever. Completely.
I mean, if that's the thing that you want and you guys want, I mean, it's just getting the brick mason to do it. That's all it is.
I think it would be ideal, and otherwise it would lend continuation to the historical spaces coming from the side and moving across the front. It would also be a continuation of showing that this is a separate building from the Knicks building.
Okay.
Which is also falling into the fact that the Knicks building has a certain type of entryway, more of a colonial type entryway, as opposed to the storefronts that this new construction is going to have,
Okay.
which is a very different type of entryway. And that's what part of the reason why I'm asking that, raising that concern.
I don't have a problem with doing that. It's not that, I was just trying to match the Nick's building, but if you want it to match the Chinese laundromat that was taken down, I don't have a problem with that.
It was something before the Chinese. Yeah.
Huh? I guess he would. If we did it, I'm looking at this picture now.
So the windows at the top, there'd be the windows at the top.
And the
And
windows,
they'd be 404, they'd be
and it would,
202, 202.
and it would be one window in between the two glass doors, the big roll-ups. And then you would do, I guess, the door on the second floor would be done that way.
But you're wanting to come around on Main Street? So
I'm
that it
talking about
looks
on Main-
like a whole new,
on the-
total different buildings, what you're saying.
The way the new construction is being added to the site, which would be easier if we had a complete plan in front of us. So I wouldn't be kind of drawing in air. So I'm kind of challenged and frustrated. Is it seems to be a continuation of the facade of the back part of the Gates building. So I'm wondering if the windows that I'm seeing on the backside of the Gates building, which have arched headers, should be continued all the way around to the for all the windows and doors, be smaller size doors, not the roll-up doors. On the one that's got the highlighted far to the left,
Right.
and then coming down into the front facade, which is on the west side of the building, those windows and doors there.
Okay, I do, the buildings aren't even, are they? So the building that you're seeing, the Gates building is back. And so he's showing it, but it's back. So that balcony goes around the corner. Doesn't that go around the
Yes, if
corner?
He can scroll. I don't think that's it. Keep getting it.
It goes around the corner. So you're not really, see that
See right there?
behind it. So it's back a ways. It's not at
It's
one
like 13 feet.
straight, it's not one straight line like you're thinking. See that you don't really see that building. It's back behind.
Garden picture with the outside. I think you need to go back up. Let me scroll down.
So that's, the balcony turns the corner and goes down the side of the building and
Okay, you're
connects
right.
to that other building. I know it threw me a little bit. I know the picture looks like it's one long building, but it's not. He's showing it's an optical illusion in a sense. That building sits like 10 feet back or whatever. I mean, it sets quite a bit back.
Then I'm confused a little bit more
So,
by,
But
so
that balcony, it turns the corner right there.
If it's helpful, so right here, there is a spot where the new proposed building would jut in, and
Right.
it's in that vicinity, and that recess there is roughly 15 feet.
Yeah,
So that there is a significant difference between these two buildings, and
right.
the alleyway is wide, but it's not that wide. There is a one-story barber shop that will cover basically
First floor.
this whole area. And if I can show you that image. So if you're headed north, you'd see
Mhm. There you go.
the beginning of it would come out here. And then as you came in, you still couldn't see that other building
Right.
until you got to here and then are looking at it.
Mhm.
And even then, it's going to be a narrower alleyway. So it will be kind of hard to see that there's arched windows back there from Main Street.
I still say that the precedent for doing it is there from the previous building that was torn down. At least for the arch headers in the front.
On the south face and the west face?
On the previous building that was torn down, the Chinese laundry,
He's trying to.
it had arch headers in the front, on the front west face. And that's why I would suggest that we continue that again.
Right.
Um,
And you would want that over the door also, right?
It would be on the front and the side is what.
So you would have 4 windows on the front that would have the archway, and you would have an archway over the door. Correct?
Have an archway over the door.
I'm looking at this print now.
that's a very good question. I don't have an answer for you at this very second. Let me have to
I'm-
stop and think.
If you'll go right there, go back.
Because it's a
Okay, so
wide,
you've got, on the second floor of the balcony, you've got 4 windows and you've
Right.
got a doorway.
Mhm.
So you would like to see archways there. Where he's marking it. And the door also, the door could be done also. Yeah. It's not a load bearing wall there, so it's not that big of a deal anyway, but the brick create the lintels, what creates the lintel. There's no steel in it when you do it out of brick, which is just as, probably just as strong, if not stronger than the steel.
I'm trying to think of what's at the Yellow Tavern in Milton. Very similar to what this is doing. If it had a transom, I'm happy. If it has a transom, it can be either way.
The transom
that's
above
not.
It looks
is
like it has
that
a tran-
transom?
It looks like it has a transom
I will
currently.
tell you this, that like, we're not building these buildings. It's just like the service station at 21 that we're working on with the metal red and cream color canopy. We bricked the inside of that building so it would look like a historical building, plus it's got concrete on it. These buildings are true brick. So the downstairs walls are 16 inches thick with veneer on the inside and brick on the outside. So when you walk into it, you're walking into a building that you would see years ago with this brick before they put the plaster up. So we are trying to get it an old vibe. We don't want you to walk into this building and feel like it's got mortar and sheetrock everywhere and steel studs. We're actually bricking the inside of these buildings, which is a lot more expensive to do, but we don't want to lose the character of the outside of the building when you walk in the door. And I think that's one of the things that, putting that archway in there is not that big of a deal if you want that. It's just basically building the templates, and once I've already got one for the brick bases laying it, to lay it with. If you want, the windows we could put transom over top of those windows if you wanted that. That's not a problem. We could put stained glass above those windows if you want it, because the height of the ceilings there are still on the second floor somewhere around 12 feet. So the ceilings downstairs are actually right at 14 feet, so we can match the second floor of the Knicks building. So if you're on the second floor, you can walk into the Knicks building. There's one restaurant guy we're talking to that wants to use the second floor of the Knicks building as actually a gathering area, a place you can rent for a wedding and stuff. But right now, we're just trying to brick the building in, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do on the guts of it. We're trying to get the outside right now. So there's 2 people that I'm talking to, and both of them are in the middle of projects right now, and they're talking that it'll probably be late spring of next year when they'll sit down with me. At that point, we're hoping to have the building way far along. The scary thing about this, I'll be honest with you, scary thing, my engineer told me it's going to take me 20 to 23 to get a bar joist. 2023.
So,
If it if it has an arch header, I'd be very happy.
I'm cool.
the only reason, I mean, I get your idea. The only reason I'm not too keen on it is because you have these bottom windows that are these big on the street.
Correct.
And it just, to me, like, and then above them will be different windows, and they're not the bottom ones. And I don't know if you can round those to make it look right, because they're wide windows.
Historically, what would have happened? What you see in buildings
Do
currently?
you think?
Historically, what you see in buildings is you see that you have the front facade on the lower level has been squared off,
Different.
and they've inserted
Okay,
these types of windows in front. So
I take it that you say.
he's in his
Okay.
right, he's right down the center lane on that.
Okay,
And then the top part of the building was never altered. And
Okay.
which originally would have had that.
okay,
You're gonna
like
see
that.
such as
Okay,
that.
so that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Which is kind of,
The other reason is in our guidelines and stuff. So I do like that idea, because it does allow the next building to stand out as the historic building, and it changes it so that this does not look like it is a continuation of the next building. So I do like that change. If you,
I'm okay with it.
the only other
This
thing
is
I
not
would
gonna
say
take away right
is I would prefer not to have stained glass on this building
at all.
at all,
Okay.
because I
We are
think,
going to have transoms on the first floor, and there will be wood around all the transoms and stuff. I think he showed brick between this plate glass and the windows above it, but all that'll be like glass.
yeah, I think that Anyway, I'm not supposed to say personal. So anyway, I'll stop there.
Well, right now, we don't have the stained glass before you guys anyway, and that's fine. I think that the transom and stuff, with the balcony going there, we don't have to worry about the sun as much blowing through the transoms, and that's one of the reasons they always had, because believe it or not, in the Burke building, that when Jay tore the original storefronts out, the glass was an aqua blue glass that had been painted white. I begged him for it. I was like, can I please get that glass? Because I was going to use it in another building, but he said over the years it kind of got tore up. So he doesn't even know where it ended up at. And I really wanted it. So, but I'm sure they still make that color, but we're not going there with that. I'm fine with no stained glass because I hadn't submitted anyway. But if you want the archways, I mean, that's just the brick mason. I mean, that's a 12-inch. That wall there is I think a 12-inch wall. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just building it out of brick.
Okay.
You raised, sorry, Dave, this is a big project, so I've got a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're welcome.
You raised the question of color.
Mhm.
This canopy, what color are we going with?
Everything I was going to paint, I think we're going to match, the metalwork's going to be black to match the metal on the back of the building. The roof is going to match the back of the building, which is a gray color. But I mean, the building we painted, the next building, we used the classic white, which since then they've approved a straight white. That's in y'all have a color template that I can go off of. So we went off the color template colors, which is a classic white. So I just figured we would maintain, but I can paint it anything off that chart that's approved. I mean, I guess, but I haven't.
I'm just wondering what color you're planning on painting.
Well, I'm not going to paint the color of the Gates building because that's some burnt orange color, and even the front storefront's burnt orange. I figured we would go with white with everything, but if you think it's going to blend into the next building, I don't mind changing it completely different color so it'll look not like it's part of the next building. So
If you're,
you could say any other color than white, and I can off this color template.
if we're going by with the historical reference for the picture of the next building with the balcony on there, the railing was white, so it would probably be appropriate for this to be white too.
So the windows and everything you're saying,
The what?
the windows and everything.
The arch windows.
Now I'm talking about the railing
Oh.
on the other side of the building, on the next building.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the horse picture,
The old 19.
the horsey picture, they white.
So you want to paint everything on the next building, do you want to paint it a white color, the metal? Which is fine. We can do that. I mean, this picture here shows the columns white. So I could leave everything on the new building black to match the back, and on this building, we'll leave everything white. Is that okay?
I'm just going for historical consistency.
They were
Get
white.
this one, Jerome.
Yeah.
No, I haven't gotten that one.
That would separate the next building more if we did it in white. It's just the reason you go with black, because white shows rust real easy.
All
If
the
it
old
starts
ones,
rusting, it
please.
dies.
He's got the old ones of those, and I was worried about the gutter that becoming, how big of a gutter we're gonna have.
The reason we had gone with black, like I said, black doesn't show the rust when it breaks out as much as the white will. And that's why we were painting all the metal black. But I mean, we could paint the metal white or something like that. It doesn't matter. And that way the next building's completely separate. Because I'll be honest with you, the hand railing on the next building, there's the pickets. You see how the size of the pickets there? They're wood, and we weren't going to use 1/2-inch stock on the next building. We were going to use 1.25-inch tubing. And that way it looks like it's a piece of wood. So it adds a little weight to it, but we're trying to match all that. I know you don't.
And-
I don't see it. B, I know you're gonna use a blacksmith or metal worker to do this, which means it has to be drawn, it's probably been drawn out already. So it would be really have not been nice to have had that brought in front of us.
Right now, we plan on doing it. If you look at all the blueprints, everything's wrought iron, but I don't mind changing to the white tubing if that's what you want. We had thought about that. But the plans that I'm submitting before y'all today shows it all being wrought iron. It shows that metalwork matching that metalwork over there. But so what you've got now, everything's matching. But if you want me to change the balcony to white metal, I don't care.
Is any other questions, Jerome?
If you want it,
Done yet.
if you want 1.5 inch tubing, I can do 1.5 inch tubing, which I'm not showing it right now. What I'm showing you is what I want to build
Why didn't you have tubing?
on the balcony on the north side. If you want to be more consistent with that right there, we can try to do that.
Yes, I would like to be more consistent with that image right there.
Okay.
It's a big plan.
I know, I'm just asking if you have any other questions. I'm not saying anything.
Yes.
Are you making notes of this? Yep. I don't have an ink pen. Okay.
Do we know if the space is going to be enclosed in the wintertime?
The
First
can it
floor?
close any of the balconies?
No?
Mm-mm.
I was a little confused by the request for third floor balcony.
On the back of the building. On the new building, the balcony. And I'll tell you why we did that is because originally the first people that were renting it were going to use this, we're going to use the second floor as of the Knicks building as an Airbnb. That way, if they have a wedding party, they would rent the second and third floor of the Knicks building it'll be residential, nightly rental. And what we did is we did the balcony on the third because we thought that that would be like the honeymoon suite on the third floor. And they're actually overlooking the courtyard. It's on the back of the building. You won't be able to see it from the street. And it's on the new building, not the old building. And we already have a set of
So
steps.
the new building goes up to the third floor, just in a small
Just that one
section in the
section.
back.
That one section, see that one section where it's like,
Yeah.
not brick, it's showing, that is the new building going up to get us into the third floor. That's the only way we can get in and out of the third floor of the building.
What are you doing about the door that's already there? Going to break it over?
They're inside, they're interior doors. And they made me do them out of steel because they need to be 2-hour.
I didn't know if you're breaking over that. When you look at the building from the side, there's.
You
there-
won't see those doors. They're inside.
Okay. Now in this image, it shows, am I looking at the staircase on the rear part of the building that's already there?
No. That's new stairs. So reason, yeah.
Isn't that one on the back of the Gates building?
And it goes the other direction. So that's.
Yeah, it goes
There's
down.
a set of stairs that you have to meet the emergency egress. And the reason we slid them over away from the building is because we have that doorway there that has the archway. And we had to slide them over so we could miss the egress from the Gates building. So that's why they're slid to the right. Instead of them coming off the corner, which was where they drew the circle at, they would be right in front of the door.
Where's the staircase that's there currently?
There's not no staircase. We haven't built none of that yet. Now, the
Where's it?
staircase that you're talking about currently, you see where the balcony sticks out on the right, all the way to the right? Keep going to the right, keep going. It's over there. It's over there. That's the Burke building. You'll be looking at the
Yeah.
side of the Burke building. So those stairs are over there, the ones you're thinking about now.
Okay. The reason I was,
It's confusing. It's a lot of metal work.
a complete set of plans would have been nice. Submitted to us so we could have had it.
I just think what they had said, just the exterior of the stuff, and that's what we did, so. But it would have helped you probably understand, where everybody in the traffic pattern. I probably could have said emergency public safety egress, and you would have, life safety passages, that would have probably helped you.
My final concern that I have is if you go to the image that shows the the lighting. Oh, yeah, it shows highlighted the lighting. That
Yeah.
one.
That's existing.
As we walk underneath this balcony, is that what we're going to see?
Get back up. That's why I submitted, this is called the Carson, and that's a.
No. It's not so much, I called it the lighting page, but what I'm actually considering
So we'll have,
is the surface of the underside of the,
you want those lightings there, that lighting there, let's say from the back.
it's not the lighting I'm talking about.
Okay,
It's the surface of the underside of this
balcony.
balcony.
Mhm.
Um,
Can you scroll? I want to see that globe above it. It's called the Carson. They're made in California. Woo. That's what will be underneath the balcony. That's why I put that picture there.
Oh, no, you're talking about the
I'm not talking
look.
about, I'm not talking about the lights. The
He's
lights.
talking about the ceiling.
I'm talking
the
about the
look.
ceiling.
Underside of the balcony.
It's,
That's gonna look like that.
it's going to look like that. It's metal. It's metal decking.
So it's gonna be kind of that corrugated metal deck.
That's what it has to be. Mhm.
It has to have that, but it could also have a covering under it.
I don't think it can because it's got, that's the that's part of the 2-wire stuff and you got to be careful what you put. I don't see it's feasible to even do that. So.
I'm done.
You're done?
painted
Do you
one.
have any question? Any other questions?
Galvanized
Yeah,
because we're
I
trying to
have a
get
question.
water gets
Okay.
in to last longer. That's why we use galvanized. It's a lot more expensive.
Chuck,
Yes,
Yeah, Chuck,
Karen
I have
has a question.
okay,
This picture,
okay.
you said, did you say that these are the extra pillars that you've been able
Yes,
to have a
but
hold of?
I have 3 and 3's plenty. He broke one of them. So I have, those are, if you can go find old pictures, that's the original light poles of downtown Graham.
My question was going to be, where were you planning on using them? If there were a lot, or in this case, you said there were a few, where strategically had you planned to put them to make use of the historical and the fact that you only have a few of them? Where would be the best place that you would use them for both strength and aesthetics? to
Okay,
do?
so what we'll more than likely have to do, because that is just, where we're putting them at is a roof. So you're not talking about the weight load of the
Right.
balcony.
Understand
So
that.
they'll handle what we're putting there. If not, the engineer, when I get them out of storage, if he says I need to put a metal sleeve in them, we'll put a metal post in them. So it depends when I bring them off the job site, the engineer will look at them and say, I want you to sleeve them. At that point, we'll put a sleeve, we'll set a place of pipe and we'll slide them down the pipe. So the weight will be sitting on the pipe. That's the same thing we did at the Verdict years ago. It's aluminum light poles is what we got. But we have a metal sleeve inside of them, so they're not
Strength.
carrying any weight of the roof.
But if you only have 3, then are you only,
I'm just
you
gonna
have
say
more than 3?
3 will be fine.
Okay,
no,
so
you
you're
have-
only
you
going to
have
have 3
3, but you've
poles,
got-
period.
I
What are you
think
gonna
that
do for the rest
shows
of the
it in the,
poles?
No, he's saying he's only going to do 3. But
yeah.
you can't, you have
So,
1, 2,
I
3. You
bet-
have 5 on the drawing.
No, actually, no, if you'll look where the yellow spot is right now, you
Uh-huh.
see 3 small squares. That's the
Two.
3 poles. You see right there, the dotted
Yeah.
line? Yes, right. So there's one there, one in the middle.
Oh, you know why? Because I was looking at the wrong side. This building has too many sides. Okay, gotcha. I was looking at the wrong side. I was like, how can you have 3?
Engineer has gone nuts on.
Okay,
trying-
gotcha.
It's been a real bear to get the engineer to put a building with a building in.
Sorry. I was looking at,
The reason we never filled the hole in, by the way, Jerome, is because we never filled the hole in because we afraid if we filled the hole in, it'll ruin the structure of the building because it was a crawl space underneath it. So basically, we have a hole there that we don't want to fill in because we're afraid we'll crack the wall. So there'll always be a crawl space underneath the new building so we can preserve the old building. So that's why the hole's still there.
thank you.
At all costs, we're trying to save the next building.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, I did. But Jerome asked some of them. And,
Okay.
saying the best place to use those 3 posts for its historical context, I think probably here
Yeah.
where
That's
you're
right.
going
She
to see
has
it coming into town, leaving town. That's the first thing you're going to notice. It's the first thing I remember from growing up here was this canopy with these light poles. So I agree that this is where they should be used.
Right.
And let's see, I had a question about the holes in the sidewalk, but you said they're gonna have
Fencing around.
fencing around them. I about falling into those holes at Arts Square. Let's see, I like the idea of the arched headers to match the backside, wherever it is. And designate that it's a separate building. I am confused over where the staircase is coming down, the second staircase is coming down for safety.
possible to even achieve unless you're doing kind of a minor thing.
Chairworthy, can I
Okay.
help here?
Well, I was just going to say that that we'll take that into consideration and look at it and discuss it at another time and see how we need to change it if we need to change it.
Okay. I just want to just mention one last thing. It says the planning director may authorize the renewal of an expired COA for a period of 6 months. So if you do consider changing the language at a future meeting, if you could maybe consider that as also as well.
Okay,
Sorry,
well, thank you.
I'm not following. That's what Burlington's regulations
Mhm.
says? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, so it gives
Okay.
you 18 months, and I don't even know if 18 months is enough. I think we probably need to ask an engineering firm like the one from the city and say, you know, how long does it take to build
Okay.
a 11, and maybe it should be by minor or major. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's not possible to really keep
Okay.
to that schedule.
we'll look into that. Thank you, Jennifer, for pointing that out.
Okay, and can I just ask what the summation of the changes that were being discussed are?
Well, we'll probably ask them once we go into our own because I'm a little confused myself. So hopefully we'll go over them again.
Right, but I mean, we as the applicant
Oh.
are able to say whether we're willing to do that or not.
Right.
So I just wanted to know what that is.
They haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
Give them just a few minutes. And then-
So we'll ask you once, if we have to recall you back, we will.
Yeah, I
about that?
just don't want to spend a lot of money on re-engineering things when we've gotten this far.
Sure.
That's just consider that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that was to come before us? Okay, so we'll close the public. Suppose I have something to say. Okay, we'll close the public discussion and we'll just have any discussion or any questions between the commission. I would like to kind of go over some of the things that we discussed so that if the staff has that information. I know we discussed.
If
go
it's
ahead.
helpful, I can go through the list in order from when they
Okay,
were brought up.
sure.
The new building would have 4/4 windows.
Uh-huh,
The next building would have 6/6 windows.
right,
Wooden doors on the front with steel doors on the rear and side.
yeah,
Full view glass garage doors.
right,
The fence was 6 foot around the back with the gate for a food truck. They were 3 or 4 foot fencing in front.
okay.
The balconies were 8 feet deep.
Actually, it's a gate. It's not really a fence in the front.
3 or 4 foot gate.
Yes, it's a gate. So
On
just to
front?
correct that.
42-inch railing on the western and northern face basement entrances with a handrail.
Right,
Arched headers on the west and southern door and windows on the second story.
okay,
The canopy roof will be gray to match the previously used.
okay, sorry, yes,
1.5-inch metal tubing for the balcony on the north side in white to match the current white window trim.
okay,
Copper gutters as per COA 1825.
okay. That's it? Thank you. Okay, so I'll just start with one thing myself. I kind of think kind of the same way with Jennifer. I'm having a problem with the white. It's like white metal. And a big thing for me with white is it gets so dirty. And then it starts looking really bad. And so I understand that these were, I guess, white. We're looking at them, they're light. So I assume they're white. But I just have a little, I understand when they're wood that they're going to be white because you usually paint wood white, you don't paint them black. But when it's metal, it's a little different. So for me, I'm kind of liking the black, not the white, but that, I'm just saying it's a personal thing. So I'm just putting that out there myself. Since it was brought up and discussed, I'll say
All right,
how I see it.
I would concur with that, especially since there's throughout Court Square, there is other black to include around.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Jerome,
My concern
right?
is that, and my concern and consideration for that matter, is we're creating, referring back to the historical precedent, which is the white, A. B, the effect that we're getting from having the railing and the second floor balcony is similar to what you would get in New Orleans, in the Bourbon district.
Right.
That is completely inappropriate for our section of the country. Completely inappropriate.
I know, but how many white? I mean, I know I've seen white. I mean, I know I've had white. I mean, it's on houses that's white. I just, I don't know why I'm not convinced.
I would go with anything in order to make it look, if they were, this is not Bourbon Street.
No, I
And this
get,
is our-
I get what
with
you're
the black,
saying.
it looks like
I-
Bourbon Street, which is a complete fallacy and recreation of an experience that did not exist in Piedmont, North Carolina, ever.
But,
And so if we,
well,
doesn't have
right,
to-
because everything was wood.
it was,
And so you didn't paint wood black. I get that.
not just that everything was wood, but they would have been turned spindles instead.
Right.
Or they would have been tobacco stick shaped pieces of wood that would have been painted white. So my contention is that if there was something to break it up and make it different, give it distinction for that part of the building, to make it not look white so much like New Orleans,
So
I'd be
I
game to go
would-
for it.
I would go with saying maybe, well, I don't know. I would go maybe with saying the white on the balcony. I could maybe see that. So it's not so black, but the white poles, even in the picture, for some reason, the white poles bother me. I don't know. I don't know why. And I know we're discussing this too much, but,
The poles, I don't care about. It's the balcony I care
okay,
about, is my contention.
okay.
It's going to be a major feature coming into a gateway into downtown.
Right.
And it's going
But
to
are
look-
you doing, okay,
my
so,
concern
but
is
you're
this-
only doing, are you wanting white on the other one too? Or you just, I mean, because now we're trying to make that look, that
that one,
what has been discussed is that it's looked like a different building than and so it could have the black on it.
my contention is that since the new construction is new construction, that it doesn't have a historical precedent that we have to follow or lean towards.
Right,
And so I'm willing to go with that.
okay,
I'm willing to not try to force anything or encourage anything upon that section. The previous section, which has a historical precedent, and both within this building and within other buildings and houses built at this time period, would have leaves a precedent for that, and which is why I'm arguing in that aspect.
okay, I got it.
And if
Um,
you, and it doesn't, I believe that there are multiple colors besides just a stark white that could be used on that, something else besides a black that makes it look so stark. I'm looking, my emphasis is getting something that shows more of a historical precedent, as
Okay,
opposed to something that looks like New Orleans.
right. I'm, okay. But think about it.
I like the white poles holding the canopy up. I like the white on the balcony. With whoever, the rest can be black because they've started black and continue the black, but I do think the next building needs to stay as authentic as possible. And
But
these are the
but
pictures
that's
we've
not
got.
really authentic, you know that, right? That's reconstructed because that was all wood.
Yeah,
So, and those poles were light poles, so it's not original to the building. So it
But this
is
is-
not an original piece to the building.
But at what time
this is
period?
what people think of when they,
I get that. And you're right. For the Gramites, that's what they remember. I understand that. As you can see, I'm not a Gramite because I didn't see that. So, but I get what you're saying. Okay. Is there anything else? Anybody want to discuss anything else other than this color issue?
I would like to ask the question of Nathan. I brought this up earlier and I'm not sure how to address it correctly. I feel concerned about doing this and making choices before a following panel will make revisions upon, has a possibility of making revisions upon the building.
Any revisions, if it's on the outside, they have to come back to us.
Ideally, would have been best to go before the other board before us. What do other jurisdictions usually require? You know,
That question's massive. It's from the material and sizing of the potential fire line, depending on the occupancy of the building, to the number of toilets. I mean, that's the purpose of the TRC is to have the post office, Duke Power, and our wastewater treatment plant people in the same room, right? So I unfortunately, I can't answer what all they require. However, I can tell you they defer in as much as legally possible to the Historic Resource Commission. If there is something that is not legal that has been approved by the HRC, what will happen is the TRC will say, we can approve this, except ABC needs to be done. And then at that time, the applicant would have to come back before the HRC and say, will you amend this for ABC? And if the answer is no, then the applicant cannot construct the building.
I just hate to have to drag them back in here again.
But, well, it's kind of the cart and the horse. I mean, it's, anyway.
Yeah, we're putting the cart before the horse, yes. That's all. That was my concern.
Anything else?
Nope.
Anybody have anything on all these things that we talked about? Okay, if not, then we need a motion and so we'll have the staff. Nathan, yes, I'm sorry.
If it's okay, before we get there, there was some other colors that were mentioned as potentially appropriate for the 1.5 inch metal tubing making up the balcony on the north side of the next building. Was that like a white or some other color, or was it anything that was creamy, an alabaster?
I think
Poor
we're getting-
Cameron has to interpret this in the future.
Right. I'm feel like we're getting in the mud here with the
That's
the
what we're here
color,
for.
the color issue. So Jerome, you're gonna have, if we put anything in there, you're gonna have to come up with what you're talking about. So you're saying any other colors, you're gonna have to like give some suggestions on what you're talking about.
Can
I
you bring
can't-
up the color spectrum sheet, please?
Oh, there's too many.
We can, if there's not very many good whites in the historic part. So if you were to say a white or a manila or a tan or something like that, just give us the ballpark of it. We can then move forward with that. If you want us to get the
Tan,
colors,
vanilla tan.
white, vanilla, or tan.
Yes.
Classic white.
I think there's a bid for classic white.
So I, you can do whatever. I don't want to lead you on. I think you need to leave maybe the door open just a little bit on that, because I don't know. Okay, classic white, we'll go with that. I can't call you back, Chuck, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, so the roof is gray and we've talked about that. Okay, so I know we're not supposed to listen to Chuck, but I get what Chuck is saying. And I will bring the discussion. Chuck just asked if we're bringing the poles to white, could the roof be black instead of gray, is what he's saying. Which I don't have any problem with, but does anybody have any problem? Okay.
Is that for just this one or for the one on?
Just for the next building. We're only talking about the next building. So, okay. So is there anything else?
So just for a point of clarity,
Yes.
we're saying that for the next building, the roof can be black,
Black,
but for the remainder of the building, gray.
gray. For the new building.
Construction.
Yes, that's what you're saying. And that's what they've asked. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so.
Would you like me to
Nathan-
read a draft motion?
Nathan, you're gonna, because this is a lot, so you're gonna have to read something for us to discuss.
The draft motion would be, I have thoroughly researched the application and all other documents related to COA 2103, and I am familiar with the property in question. I find that if produced in accordance with the plan submitted, proposed with the proposed addition and construction will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. I move to approve with conditions the application for COA 2103 for the property located at 102 South Main Street as submitted, because it does meet the following criteria. Historic Resource Design Guidelines C.1.3, C.1.6, D.1.1, D.7.2, D.7.3,
Okay,
D.8.1, D.10.1, D.10.3, D.11.1, D.11.2, if the following changes are made to the proposal, including a new building with 4/4 windows, the next building with 6/6 windows, wooden doors on the front with steel doors on the rear and sides, full view glass garage doors, a fence not more than 6 feet around the back with a gate for a food truck, 3 or 4 foot high gates on the front, the balcony 8 feet deep, 42-inch railing on the western and northern basement entrances with a handrail, arched headers on the west and southern door and windows on the second story, arched headers on the west and southern door and windows on the second story. The canopy
can you say of the new building,
of the new building,
please? Sorry.
the canopy roof will be gray to match the previously used, with black on the next building and standing seam. A 1.5-inch metal tubing will be used for the balcony on the north side in white, vanilla, or tan, including classic white. And copper gutters will be installed as per COA 1825.
Okay. Do I have someone to make this motion?
You have to repeat all that?
No.
No, I'm gonna,
I just need you to be assured that you speak into the mic and make a motion. However, before you do that, they have asked to hear the list. And if you want them to approve the list at this point before you make a vote, then this would be the
Okay.
appropriate time to have them do that if you're going to. call
Okay.
one of them back to the-
I will do that. So Chuck, can you come back and talk to this, please?
So the question is, they've just given you the list. You just need to say yes or no.
I'm okay, I'm good with it. Just if the white doesn't work, can I have the option to change it back to black? That's the only thing. I want to go white like you want. And if it doesn't look bad, we're gonna leave it. And I'd like to put a black roof on it, like y'all have proposed, because I think it'll look more historical with a standing seam roof over it. So I totally agree. It needs to look like a separate building. So I think the white will work. I think that we probably could go with the classic white, but y'all did prove
Don't
white,
get that specific.
white or black.
Yeah.
So the white, classic white's what the windows are anyway, but I'm okay with everything as y'all, y'all discussed. I think it's some good changes. I don't think it's negative. I think it's gonna be great. So I appreciate y'all taking all this consideration.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Now you've said.
So-
your motions.
Right. So
You need to determine. He brought one thing to the.
he brought one thing up, and that was if the white doesn't work, can they go back to black? So that is something that whoever makes the motion has to put that in or not put it in. And then we'll have to vote on that. So who wants to make the motion?
I will.
Okay. And you could just say that you take what the staff said.
I move to approve the motion that the COA is approved with the listing that staff has provided for us, with the additional condition that either if the white that is in the palette for the city does not work, they have the option to choose another shade of white. And I move to approve the application for CO 2103 for the property there at 102 Main Street, as it does meet the criteria that we have discussed in all of the sections below, with the listing that the staff has provided and the color options just mentioned.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? I oppose. And it passes. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Did you go back to the agenda? Please.
Hey, let's see. Okay, thank you.
I knew that was if they needed help.
So we have city council updates with Councilwoman Melody Wiggins, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great job on that, by the way, to all of you. Thank you for your work and your deliberation and your attention to detail. I do have a couple of things for you tonight. I do want to remind you of the trainings that you've been given, that information and sent out by Nathan. If you will please respond ASAP. The quasi judicial workshop will be on August 24th, 1 to 3. The legislative board workshop will be September 14, 5:30 to 8. I do recommend that you do both. They are pursuant to what you do. You are both legislative and judicial, and so both of them serve you well. Please get with him as soon as possible, and we will move forward with that on your exact location. On the 14th, we will actually be in a city council meeting, so they will direct you to another room. Okay, so if you will, please take care of that for me as quickly as possible. We have just advertised your grant. It was approved. The facade grant was approved in the budget for 15,000. You will start working on that very soon. That was publicized yesterday, and the applications are now downloaded on the website. So you do have that information available to you.
And paper mailed out to everyone in the district.
Right. And it's been paper mailed out to everyone in the district. That's
Great.
All right. Yep. And thanks, Cameron. Have we introduced Cameron to the board yet?
Do you want to do that?
Yes, please.
Board, this is Cameron. So Cameron West has just joined us. For those of you who've been here a while, he replaced Alexa.
Okay.
And he previously has worked as a planner in Elizabethtown. And ironically, that's where Michael Linewan and Aaron have been at various points in their time. So we have about half the population of Bladen County employed by the city of Graham at this point. But he is a great addition. Is got a lot of skills, and it's going to be fun to work with him, however briefly. But he is also going to night school to complete his MPA. So he's a little bit of a glutton for punishment, as you might imagine most planners are.
Thank you. And we look forward to working with you.
Welcome.
And Mr. Chairman, our last thing is that Mr. Page will be leaving us on the 13th, on Friday, the 13th. And so
Which
I
is
want to
always
take
a
this
bad day.
opportunity to thank him for his service to the city and the service to this board and other boards. He will be sorely missed, but we want to wish him well in his new endeavor as town manager. So
Oh,
thank you. If you will all please speak to him before you leave. Thank you.
we appreciate it. We've always appreciated everything you've done for us, and you've been a huge help to push us forward, to make us a board that we should be. And we can't thank you enough for that. And thank you for all your time and effort.
Nathan, I'd like to say a special thank you because the legislative language can get pretty tedious. You've done an eloquent job of explaining if you paint the front of the building pink, what happens. But your explanations during our training have been spot on. So I would encourage you as a former educator to keep doing that for any of the other commissions and boards that you would provide guidance to. So your advice and the way you have framed things has been very helpful, especially to me being a new person. So it
Makes it very digestible to us lay people.
Thank you.
So,
And it saddens me to have to say goodbye because it was just like the umbilical cord was just cut there. So I'm just like, oh no, I'm
Now
going
what?
back into the incubator. So congratulations on your new endeavors and we wish you
Exciting.
well.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your new endeavors. May
is your
go
wife
well.
going to?
For now, Kristen is gonna stay here. We own a historical home, which, as you all know, means there's a lot of work to be done. We don't have any plans of selling that house at this time.
Right. Is that it? I mean, is there anything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Information
I do have one additional item, and that is, Nathan, can you give us where we are on our historic district update, please?
Absolutely. And then I think Mary was here and was going to say a little bit about if you guys are interested in the the North Carolina Main Street program as well. So the process is moving along. We've been in contact with the consultants, and they're finalizing their first draft to put before you guys and the State Historic Preservation Office. So I would anticipate having a meeting in September and reviewing the document at that meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mary, if we could hear from you, please. And tell me, Mary, what your title is, because I don't think I know your title.
Good evening, Mary Fawcett, Downtown Development Coordinator. And what I'll do is just kind of give you guys a tip of the iceberg tonight. And if it's okay with Chair Worthy and the rest of the commission, I'll have a formal presentation for you at your next meeting. So the tip of the iceberg is Graham is moving forward in the North Carolina Main Street program for our new council commission members this evening. That is an accredited program, that's statewide and then nationwide. And a few years ago, they created a prerequisite program that was at a maximum of 3 years. And so Graham will be crossing over that finish line, fingers crossed, July 1st of next year. So next steps are vision planning that then folds into a work plan. So in October, we'll have a community opportunity, and I would hope that you guys will be able to come to that. I'll give more details at your next meeting. If anyone has any follow-up questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Mary.
Chair Worthy?
Yes.
I have a quick question
Yes.
for our fellow board members. I'm putting together the city of Danville, Virginia, has doing an incredible job of restoring the city of Danville had a large number of houses that were vacant and run down and condemnable. And they're doing an incredible job, it's being noted nationally, of restoring, coming up with public-private partnerships to restore those buildings and bring new younger people into those areas. And there are a couple of houses that just stand out in terms of the historical way that they're doing the work, and other folks are doing it in a more renovation form as opposed to a restoration. I was considering putting together a tour for some folks to go up there and see what that's like and what's possible for a older mill town. It's really notable in some ways because they have several houses similar to what the Holtz would have had. What they did have, but have been torn down. And there's one lady who has restored it. They're still in the process of restoring it, and with the tower and the whole 9 yards, and it is quite jaw-dropping, and to give us an idea of what was originally here. And I was wondering if my fellow board members would be interested in going on such a trip.
Sure. We can all go together, is that correct? Or do we can only have 3 or something?
Yeah.
So if it's a formal training that you guys are going on, you can go. Minutes would have to be kept, but if no motions are made, then the minutes can be very loose. We talked about historic preservation. We discussed what the city of Danville is doing.
Right.
We thought it would be a good idea to copy these things and then include a picture of the house that you went to and maybe a little bit of documentation from the city of Danville, and that'd be sufficient. Now, if you go there and you say, we need to change the process for a COA, and we need to make sure that everybody comes before us and drops a $100 bill on the podium on their way out, that would need to have more strict minutes kept of that.
Okay.
But if it's only 3 of you guys, you don't even need to do that. But it does look like there's significant interest even here. So
Okay.
you might have a full board.
So can, I don't want to overstep the bounds, but could I ask that Jerome and the new staff work together on this and then come up with something that because I'm sure everybody would be thrilled to do this. Yes.
Okay, I do have a question, and I don't know what the appropriateness is for this meeting or how do I address it. But I wanted to address the fact that I do work for the EP Gates, but it's not a small business. I don't work on the construction side of the business. So I'm not involved with the architectural drawings, the planning and things of that nature. So when they come before this board, it's just like I'm seeing it for the first time myself. I'm in marketing, more on the sales side, administrative side. So I don't work with Chuck.
Okay.
I work with Jennifer. So I don't want to have to be, because they own a big majority of downtown.
Right, thank you.
So I don't want to be on a committee that I'm not going to be able to serve.
Right, I get you.
It's not going to be fair to me because of what they own. I don't, and I'm not led easily by anyone, okay? And no one persuades me on any circumstances. So I myself am learning.
Right.
The things I heard tonight was for the first time. I haven't handled materials for this project or anything going forth. He has his own staffing. Jennifer has her staffing. I work more on the billing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, marketing, things of that nature. So I don't see anything that you guys haven't seen. The first I saw the plans was through my email, which I've been following along all night. So I don't want to be excluded
Right, I understand.
going forth because they're going to be probably the majority of who's going to be coming before this committee.
Sure, you're right.
You see, so I don't,
Yeah, let me
and I'm
ask.
sworn in, so I
It-
will keep up my.
It may be helpful if the School of Government were to weigh in on this. The 160D is new and we're not very sure
That's
about
true.
what it
Okay.
is,
Yeah. 160 is-
but it is stricter than it used to
Yes, it
be.
is. Yeah.
Prior
So-
to 160D, there were projects that I was considering investing in downtown Graham that I'm not allowed to invest in. And that's a result of the 160D being stricter than the previous standard.
And today is the first time we've had this, so.
Oh,
So
I'll read-
could
I
we,
can-
yeah, could you look into it, please, so that we can be, because I get what she's saying and I agree.
And what,
Agree totally.
So
Yeah, see,
Really.
that,
Wish we'd
that,
known
they're,
that
that
up
they're going
front,
to be
but-
coming in all the time. So we need to have this.
And what we can do is, Ms. Clark Baldwin, we can set up a meeting with you, with either one of the city's attorneys or a School of Government employee to make a recommendation one way or the other based on the new language.
yes. And I would be making a recommendation, or you saying that?
I think that they would make a recommendation based on your personal circumstances, one way or the other, based on the language of 160D and at what you've just
My
presented.
situation, yeah.
Right, and then that would clarify for everybody. Okay,
Because I don't see anything that he does, actually. I don't know.
Right.
I have no clue.
okay, so if you would do that, please, and clarify that for us, that would be great. And then we can clear that up. That would be perfect.
And can I also address the board, just one other thing?
Uh-huh.
I have an affidavit actually in my car. So when I first applied for the committee, applied as a retired person. A week ago Saturday, I just downloaded a form of identity, affidavit of identity. So there's been some hiccups. So I haven't really fulfilled that part. So when I saw that that check wasn't coming, I went out and I then explored to be gainfully employed. And when I did that, this company hired me.
Sure.
So I still yet have the first check to draw from my retirement.
Mhm.
My affidavit has been sent in. I did check on it Friday week, and they did say they have received it, but it's a process. And I don't know if you call it identity theft or what happened, but someone had requested my funds to be transferred.
Okay,
So it's been very quirky. So there was nothing about the application that was false. It was just not ever updated. And I didn't know, honey, my mind's been going 1,000 places.
Hmm.
And medically, just to speak briefly, I've had several strokes.
okay,
And not to give an excuse, but just to say, it was just an oversight. I didn't even realize, oh, we got to go back and change the application now. And when it was brought to my attention, I was like, yeah, hey, this situation has changed. But the retirement part really hasn't kicked in. Until I get my official check, I don't think
Sure.
I'm really retired. So, and I haven't done that. And I have, like I said, statements out there from the state that would validate my
Okay.
statement tonight. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm untruthful, and it kind of rubbed my integrity a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to know that I didn't put any information down to mislead anyone. I just didn't even know at the time of the application, at the time I was elected, because you remember it was put off and put off and put off. So a lot of occurrences had happened
sure.
in between that. So I just want to apologize for anything that may have looked incorrect there.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
From staff's perspective, there was nothing but transparency there, and I think you did the right thing disclosing it before the meeting today. So
Yes.
it's,
Yep.
as Carrie
We
said,
appreciate it very much. Thank you. Anything else? I appreciate it. It's been a long meeting, but you all, I appreciate all your time and all the effort that you put in. And so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
The motion, second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, I'll take
Nathan,
that.
I
one
can,
down.